Hello, this is Randy Nelson, and this is an edition of Extra Innings. As a retiring superintendent of schools, many things run across my mind when I reflect on 37 years in education. What's happened in those 37 years? What have we been doing in our schools? And even, what's on the horizon? To help facilitate the discussion, I've enlisted the assistance of Mr. Bob Schmidt, past radio talk show host, a parent, and a friend.
There's a lot of things as a parent, especially since all four of my kids now have gone through La Crosse schools, that concern me. Things that are happening in schools that are not good all around the country.
Sure.
Thank God we haven't had any issues here in the La Crosse area. But when it comes to safety in La Crosse schools, what kind of things are being done?
Well, there's a lot of things that have been happening over the last several years, and unfortunately, most of those have been happening as a response to the national scene and tragedies that have taken place in other schools and what we learned from those. Sandy Hook really being the one that started a lot more national conversation about school safety. Like many other school districts, we have stepped out in front as best we can to respond in several different ways. One of the things, and probably the most costly thing that we've done, is we have now retrofitted every one of our schools in the school district of La Crosse to ensure that there is a two-step entryway into the schools. And by two-step, I'm meaning that there is a vestibule. There is a place where once you get into the school, there's another holding place that you go in before you would see an adult inside of that school. So it's kind of a two-stage process to get in, and just to get into the front door, we've also established cameras and an opportunity for a person to announce themselves pushing the button. I think of the days that people might go into a club and you push a button and someone says who's there, and so we've been able to use security cameras in such a way that someone with a direct line of sight to that doorway can see who the person is. They can get a line of vision on that person. They can also buzz in that particular person, and so it does provide for us an opportunity for that person to go through stages before they actually get into the school. When you talk about school safety, I wish that there were guarantees in life, and there really aren't. Whether it's for me or whether it's for you, there just aren't any guarantees that tomorrow morning we're going to wake up, and I wish that there were guarantees. But what I will say is that what our goal is here is to slow people down. When someone is coming to school with terrible intentions, it's to slow people down, slow down the process, and do what we can to make sure that we have more ample time to contact who we need to contact for help.
Well, one of the things, too, that the La Crosse School District does, and I think does well, is that in the middle school and the high school, there's a uniformed police officer in those schools all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing that we've done. It's something that we've included in a partnership with the police department, and that is that we have full-time SROs, school resource officers, in our schools. And one of the things that's really true, it's the job of those individuals is not just to address someone who might break the law someplace on our school campus or thereabouts. But the purpose of that person inside of that particular school is to build relationships with students. We want that school resource officer to be connecting with students. We want the school resource officer to be connected with families. Because what we do find out is that sometimes, despite all of the effort and all of the work that we put in to buy things and to do things inside of the schools, like we've been talking about, it's many times relationships and the capacity for adults to have built strong relationships with students and other family members that we sometimes can get out in front of issues before they might develop into something bad at a school.
When it comes to training staff about safety in general, what kind of things are being done to help our staff out with knowing and being above and being ready to jump in when they need to?
We just make sure that people are not hearing things and just ignoring it, but they are indeed intervening in those types of situations and helping students understand. A couple of other things that we're doing in the school district through some grants that came to us from the Department of Justice here in Wisconsin. We have, on several of our schools, we have installed what we would call some shatterproof film on some of our schools. That, again, makes it more difficult for an intruder to come in. The other thing that we've done is we're implementing what's called a Raptor system. When someone does come through those front portals to our schools, before they can move into the rest of the school or get past that office, they have to swipe their license. And that driver's license swipe is actually going through a really quick database. And that database is helping us better understand if this particular person, for instance, might not be a good person to be in that particular school. We continue to work on those things. I think what's been difficult to see is that we used to do one fire drill per month in a school. Now we're doing active shooter drills in schools. And it's been difficult to watch that transition, and it makes me wonder why. I've got a lot of philosophies about that, but it's one of the discouraging things that I see happening. And I really hope that whatever those things are that are milling about that cause these things to happen, that they can be addressed, whether it's mental health, whether it's social status and standing. These things need to be addressed somehow, because our schools should not be the place where students feel that they are going to school in fear. It should be at least one of several places, but it should always be a place that they feel that they are safe and they are amongst adults who care about them and love them.
Thanks, Randy. I'm looking forward to our next Extra Innings conversation. Retiring Superintendent of Schools Randy Nelson's Extra Innings podcast is a podcast for Hire.com production.